What if you could read 4 books? That's right, just 4 books that would set you up for life. No more wasting your time on useless self-improvement videos that don't end up having an effect on your life. In this video, I'm going to share 4 books that will build the foundation for your financial, social, and spiritual success. This won't be just another video that you just watch without implementing anything you learn. I will personally apply key lessons from each book in real time, and so should you. The first book is the foundation to all foundation, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you cannot assimilate the few lessons that we're going to be focused on from this book, there's no point in moving forward. Trying to improve your finances, social skills, or any other aspect of your life is useless without understanding the first 2 habits of this book. So here they are. Number 1. Be proactive. Imagine 2 people struggling with their finances. One of them complains about inflation, lack of job opportunities, and overtaxation. The other one might recognize those things as true, but it doesn't matter. That's not what he's focused on. He's focused on what he can control. Number of hours worked, acquiring high-paying skills, saving more money. You need to become the type of person who only focuses on the things inside your circle of influence. Only then can you take the steps to improve your situation. Number 2, draw the blueprint for your life. If you're on self-improvement right now, I think this is probably where you're going wrong. You've taken responsibility for your situation, and now you're taking the steps to building a better life, and that's great. But to what end are the actions you're taking? Making money, dating beautiful women, acquiring status. This means you're currently building a life centered on yourself, and this, according to the author, is a bad strategy. The only thing to center your life around are principles. Principles are universal truths about reality, unbreakable laws of human nature. Things like honesty, integrity, and fairness. All your actions should be governed by the respect of these principles. Only then can your decisions be effective. Okay, so here's what you need to understand from this book. You are responsible for your life, and you should only focus on what you can control. All of your actions should be in accordance with the principles that govern reality. Choose the principles that hold the most importance in your heart and build your life around respecting them. Stick around to later in this video where I implement these key lessons in my own life. All right, first book done, on to the next one. This next book has changed my life, and I think it will change yours as well. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Let's be honest, social skills is a puzzle for a lot of us. Reading this book and truly using the lessons taught in it has the potential to turn you into a charismatic and pleasant person who people genuinely want to have a conversation with. Most of the teachings here point to the same core principle: make the other person feel important. That's the key to doing well in social interactions. You accomplish this by never criticizing, giving appreciation, becoming interested in other people, by smiling, being a good listener. I could go on and on. Everything this book teaches can be broken down to making the other person feel important. And once you achieve that, you can have them do whatever you want. Nah, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. These principles are not going to work if you use them with malicious intent. People are going to see right through your deception. You must apply the lessons in this book for the joy of becoming a better person. People will feel that authenticity, and that's when you'll get what you want out of social interactions. Watch me use some of these principles in real time later in this video. But for now, let's keep going. Next book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Fair warning about this book. After reading it, you will be scratching your head when seeing what everyone is doing with their money, and it will drive you crazy. Reading this book is the first step to avoiding all the money traps that everyone seems to fall in. Now, let's be clear, this book will not make you a millionaire overnight. But if you can imagine wealth as being a 20-story building, this book will help you build the concrete foundation. Let's go over the key lessons. Lesson number 1, don't work for money, have money work for you. You will never be financially free if you keep trading your time for money. If all the money from your salary immediately comes out through expenses, you will never escape the rat race. As much of your salary as possible should be spent on building assets, things that make you money. That's when money starts to work for you, and only then can you be financially free. Lesson number 2, don't work to earn, work to learn. This is probably the most important, but also difficult to accept reality about making money. If you want to build any sort of significant wealth, you have to learn high-paying skills, which sometimes means taking lower-paying jobs. Right now, I'm only getting paid 16 Canadian dollars per hour, but I'm learning sales, which I know will pay off in the long run. So here's what you do. Decide what high-paying skills you want to improve. Find a job where you can quickly learn and improve those skills, and that's it. If the salary is too low for you, then lower your expenses. Your priority right now is to learn. Period. Now, obviously, there's a lot more lessons in this book, and I'm going to be using some of them later in this video. But for now, let's move on. The truth is at this point, the previous 3 books might be enough for superficial success. But don't click off yet. If you skip the final book, The Power of Now, you risk becoming one of those miserable miserable millionaires. Out of the 4 books we've discussed in this video, this one is by far the hardest to comprehend and integrate into your own life. But it might also be the most important one. If you cannot find peace within, then you will spend your whole life trying to fill the void inside of you with cars, houses, and women. I know this video is about setting you up for the future, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the reality is that if you're not fully and completely accepting of the present moment, absolutely in peace with your life and who you are right now, then nothing in the future will ever satisfy your discontent. You'll be one of those men who thinks 10K a month will solve all your problems, only to reach that milestone and realize you actually need to become a millionaire, only to then realize that you need to be making $1 million every single month. This will continue until you become a depressed billionaire, sitting in your super yacht, wondering what you're gonna buy next to fill the void inside of you. I don't even want to try and summarize the key lessons in this book. It's way too profound and life-changing. I need you to read it for yourself. All right, let's go apply the lessons from all 4 books in real time. First book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I'm actually going to be applying the second habit in particular, which remember was about drawing the blueprint for your life. So let me explain what I'm going to do. Remember how I mentioned that we all have a certain center from which decisions come from. According to the authors, there exist many centers. You can be money-centered, where all your decisions will be based on money. So how much money will this get me? How much money will I lose if I do this or if I don't? You can be work-centered, where you get your sense of fulfillment from how many hours you work, and you'll usually prioritize work over family or friends. According to the author, the only proper center should be a principle-centered life. So my action step is actually to pick a few principles which I hold close to my heart and stick them on my wall so I'm reminded of them every single day. But first, I need to actually figure out which center I am right now, because I'm not principle-centered yet. And look, I just looked at all the different centers in the book, and I think I'm self-centered. I gotta admit, I looked at the definition of self-centeredness in the book, and I think it fits me, unfortunately. So that's the first step done. Now I'm gonna choose a few principles. First up, integrity. I once heard someone say that integrity is the reputation that you hold for yourself. So I'm gonna build the best damn reputation. Boom. Growth. I will always learn from my mistakes. I will always learn from others, and I will never stagnate. I will always grow. The courage to fail, the courage to be disliked. No coward has ever achieved anything great. Compassion. The only way to change anyone is through compassion. You never know what someone's going through, and if I want to change people's lives some days, I have to develop compassion. Oh. Excellence. I wasn't here to half-ass anything, and I'm always going to strive for greatness. The humility to recognize that I will never know everything and that there'll always be more to learn. All right, how to win friends and influence people. So we're out here in public. I'm gonna go into a random coffee shop and try and apply as many lessons from the book as possible. Let's go. Okay, quick warning about this part of the video. It didn't exactly go how I wanted it to go. I basically just end up like doing a normal order, except I just asked for a name. I think I was just nervous about having to interact in front of a camera. But in any case, I do think I need to improve this side of my life. But there's also something else I've learned from that experience. Before filming that clip, I was nervous. I almost choked. I didn't want to do it anymore. But I ended up pushing through it. And although I'm not like super proud of the result, I am happy I did it. Throughout your journey, there will be times where you feel extreme resistance to doing certain things. The first 2, you will not want to do them. Oh my God, what the? And that's when you'll know you need to do it. How's it going? What's your name? Hola. Olga. So I'm new here. I'd like a matcha. Do you make those? Yeah? I'm gonna take it hot. Oh, that looks good. Thank you. All right, shout out Olga, man. So the key takeaway here, I wasn't nice for any particular reason. I literally just did it for the sake of doing it. So when you're using these techniques and these lessons from this book, don't try and do it for any gain of yours. Don't try and do it for a discount or to get anything in return. Just be nice for the sake of it. That's the key takeaway from this book. All right, next up, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So obviously there's a lot of lessons about money in this book, but there's one that I found particularly compelling, and it's the one about finding a reason greater than reality. Basically just finding a good reason why you want to be financially free. Because the road to financial freedom is very hard, and if you don't have a strong reason to do it, you will quit. So a strong reason starts with things that you don't want and things that you want. Things that you're running away from and things that you're running towards. On this side are the things I don't want, on this side are the things I want. First up, being an old man full of regrets. Thinking back on my life and saying, man, I could have done more. I do not want that to happen. Next up, feeling trapped in a job that I hate. Taking up all these expenses and not having a choice choice but to keep on working in a dead-end job. Man, this guy does not want to come in on Mondays. Being micromanaged. Look, I don't have a strong problem with a boss, but being told what to do on a regular basis is just not for me. I mean, look at that. That's my worst nightmare. Fourth thing is retiring when I'm too old to actually enjoy my life. This guy's retired, but look at that. His knees are busted for sure. All right, here's what I do want from life. I want freedom. Freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Freedom to choose the type of work I want to dedicate my life to. This right here is the house from the movie Ex Machina. And I'll show a few clips, but the architecture to me is just so cool. It's also like in the middle of nowhere. And to me, this picture just basically represents being able to build a house that's exactly how you want it, exactly where you want it as well. Next up is being able to take care of my health, whatever the cost. I don't want my budget to be a limiting factor of whether or not I can go see a physio or a massage therapist. Whatever I need to do for my health, I don't want money to be the reason that I can't. Finally, it's purpose. I feel like most people cannot follow their true purpose and their true passion because of money. They're limited by their expenses. They need to keep working and they can only dedicate like an hour or two per week to what actually matters for them. Being financially free would allow me to dedicate 100% of my time to what I truly feel is important. All right, final book, Power of Now. Okay, so according to the author, all of your negative feelings, anxiety, judgmental thoughts, resistance to the present moment, all of that stuff is the ego. And the last thing to do when you get those negative feelings produced by your ego is to attach yourself to them. In other words, identify with those feelings. You are not those negative feelings. Your ego is producing them and you are not your ego. So here's what I did. For about a week, every single time I got thoughts from the ego, so anxiety, negative thoughts, wanting to be elsewhere or wanting to do something else, I basically tried to immediately recognize that as my ego and I basically recorded a little clip every time. So here they are. I was watching a video on how to make money and I got some like pretty serious limiting beliefs. So I immediately recognized that as being my ego telling me negative thoughts. That's one rep done. So I've been stuck in traffic for the past 20 minutes and I'm feeling a lot of resistance to the present moment. I need to accept what is. That is the lesson of this book. So yeah, gotta accept the moment despite this shit. Just caught myself having some pretty judgmental thoughts about someone while looking at the profile picture. So that's the ego and I cut it off real quick. And this went on for a week. I would get negative thoughts. I would detach myself from those thoughts and recognize them as my ego. And I think I started to do pretty well. I didn't show every single clip because it would start to get repetitive, but I think you got a good idea that even after a few days, I was already starting to get like pretty good at it. I would rarely get like immersed in negative thoughts for more than like a minute. I would always recognize them as being my ego and I would detach from them. I encourage you to try it for yourself. So here's what you should take away from this video. Reading is really important, but even more important is actually applying what you learn in those books. So go out there, leave your comfort zone, admit you're wrong and change your behavior. Knowledge is not worth much if you're not actually going to use it.